My wife said spouses weren't allowed at her college reunion, but a friend sent me photos of her happily spending time with her ex-boyfriend, Helen. My wife of 7 years stated 6 weeks ago that she was planning to attend her 10-year college reunion in Colorado. She asked if I wanted to join her, explaining that it was a relaxed weekend with everyone bringing their partners. I accepted, since I had never been to Colorado, and thought it would be nice to meet the folks she had spent 4 years with. Helen appeared eager about the vacation, discussing hiking trails and places we might try. She even suggested we prolong our stay by a couple of days to make it a short vacation. We booked flights jointly, and I took time off from work. I bought some new hiking boots and a jacket appropriate for the Colorado temperature. Helen and I spent the evenings poring over images from her undergraduate days, and she pointed out friends I'd meet. There was Mark, who had attended our wedding with his wife Jennifer and introduced Helen to her first job, and Carlos, who organized an annual charity run in which Helen participated. I noted she never mentioned Tyler, her college boyfriend, despite previous chats indicating that he was an essential part of her college experience. They had been together for over 3 years before breaking up in their final year. Then, around 10 days before the trip, Helen informed me that the reunion organizers had changed their minds and were no longer accepting spouses due to venue capacity limits. She appeared sad and apologized for the adjustment. I told her that was all right and that I'd spend the weekend catching up on household duties. I noticed she immediately shifted the conversation whenever I sought for further information about the new arrangements. When I specifically inquired which other spouses had been excluded, she vaguely mentioned Mark's wife and a few others. Before bringing up a problem with her work assignment, Helen packed the night before her trip. As I watched television in our bedroom, she appeared to take extra care with her dress selection, carrying several more possibilities than she normally would for a 4-day trip. She packed her prettiest gowns, including one she had recently purchased but had yet to wear. When I commented on this, she stated wanted to appear good in photos because everyone would be comparing how much they had changed since graduation. She also packed more cosmetics than usual and took particular care organizing her amenities. The day after Helen went for the reunion, I received a text message from Mark, one of her college friends, whom I met at our wedding. His message informed me that Helen had been spending all of her time with her college lover, Tyler. Mark also said that he had seen them walk into Tyler's cabin and stay there for more than an hour while the rest of the group was on a hike. According to Mark, Helen informed everyone that I would be unable to attend due to an important work project. He attached a photo of the reunion schedule which showed no restrictions on inviting companions. I stared at the message for about an hour. Helen and I had not been having any issues. We had been discussing starting a family next year. We had just finished renovating our kitchen and planned to tackle the bathrooms next month. We'd even begun looking at larger homes and neighborhoods with good schools. I had never suspected her of being dishonest before I called her in the evening to see how things were going. During our call, Helen described the reunion as fantastic, noting a hike and cookout. When I casually inquired about the venue and whether the no spouses policy was justified, she promptly confirmed that it was owing to the lodge's restricted accommodation capacity. Then I inquired if Tyler was present, attempting to make it sound like an afterthought after a considerable gap. She stated that he couldn't make it and was now residing in Europe. After we hung up, I checked our cell phone bill online. Helen made several calls to a number I didn't recognize. In the weeks leading up to the reunion, the calls became more frequent as the reunion approached. The most recent call was 47 minutes long and took place the day before she left. I copied the number and texted Mark to see if he knew who it was. He confirmed that it belonged to Tyler, who had returned from London 6 months earlier following his divorce. I packed my bag and traveled to my sister's place. She is a family law attorney. I showed her Mark's text, the reunion schedule, and phone records before explaining the problem. My sister advised me not to jump to conclusions and suggested that I speak with Helen when she returned, since the calls could be benign. When I pointed out that Helen lied about Tyler's absence and told everyone I couldn't come due to work, my sister acknowledged my concern but reminded me that 7 years of marriage deserved more than 3 days of doubt. She recommended waiting to see if there was a legitimate explanation before taking severe measures. I slept on my sister's couch for the next 3 nights. Helen did not call me back. After our talk, which seemed unusual for a 4-day trip, she sent some generic updates and images from group outings, but nothing personal. The photographs were always of large groups, never of her alone or with specific people. I explored social media and discovered several images of the reunion shared by other guests. In 3 of them, I could see Helen and Tyler standing close together. In one, his hand was on her lower back, while in another they were seated apart from the rest of the group, deep in conversation. When she was due to return, I went back to her house to confront her. I printed out the phone records, screenshots of images I'd obtained online, and the reunion itinerary, which showed no spouse limitations. I put them on the kitchen table and waited. Helen's smile faded when she walked in and saw me sitting at the kitchen table. Papers spread out. Her countenance changed from surprise to concern when she saw the documents. During our conversation, Helen confirmed Tyler was at the reunion, but insisted that nothing had happened and that they were just friends. Now, when confronted on her claims, she admitted that the organizers had not truly barred spouses. She just thought it could be awkward because Tyler would be present. She stated she was attempting to prevent an awkward situation for everyone. When I showed her the phone records from her 47-minute talk with Tyler the day before the trip, she attempted to deflect by calling my phone record check invasive. She stated Tyler contacted about the reunion because he was apprehensive about seeing everyone after his divorce and wanted to know who would be there. I pointed out that this was their 12th call together in 3 weeks, not just a one-time talk. Regarding attendees, I explained that I'd already spoken with my sister about divorce options. Helen got visibly agitated. She insisted that nothing occurred to Tyler. She stated she was simply being a friend to someone going through a difficult period following their divorce. According to her story, they just went to his cabin to fetch something from his car, and Mark missed their return since he had already departed for the climb. She maintained she was only assisting Tyler with his divorce and had even paid for the majority of his meals while he was between jobs. I showed her the social media photographs of his hand. On her back, she dismissed it as people crammed close for a group photo, despite the fact that there was plenty of space around them. In the photo, I told her I was going to spend the night at my sister's because I needed to think. Helen followed me as I packed, her voice growing increasingly agitated. As she said, I was overreacting to nothing and that I was willing to give up 7 years of marriage over insignificant texts and images. She mentioned our future plans for children in the home we were considering purchasing. As I zipped my bag, she blocked the bedroom doorway, imploring me to stay and sort things out. I simply waited till she moved aside and then departed without replying to the accusations. Helen phoned 27 times that night. She left 14 voicemail messages, each one more dramatic than the last. I didn't pay attention to most of them. Over the next 2 days, she texted me frequently, alternately apologizing, explaining, and accusing me of being unreasonable. My sister agreed to postpone any legal procedures while I thought things over. I simply don't know what to do anymore. 7 years of marriage, and I never saw this coming. My head is spinning, trying to make sense of everything. My buddies are split half, saying I should listen to her entirely and that couples have survived worse. The other half claims that lying alone reveals who she truly is. I can't eat. Did anyone else catch their spouse lying about something like this? I never expected to be in this position, and I honestly don't recognize my life right now. Update 1. I'd like to thank everyone who responded on my initial post. I read every single comment, even if I was unable to react to all of them. During the most difficult times of my life, this community has provided me with incredible support. So many of you had similar experiences which made me feel less alone in this. To those who have asked for an update, Helen and Tyler vanished around 15 minutes into the hike, claiming they had left something at the cottage and would catch up. They were not with the group when they returned and did not attend the post-hikey lunch. They reappeared around 30 minutes after everyone had finished eating, extending their absence far beyond the few minutes Helen mentioned. Tyler cracked a joke about getting lost on the route, which made several people uncomfortable, given how evident their absence had been. When I inquired why he decided to tell me, Mark indicated that he and his wife had experienced infidelity in their relationship several years prior. They had worked through it, but only because the truth was revealed instantly. He believed that secrets damaged marriages faster than mistakes, and that I deserved to know what was going on. I met Helen at a coffee shop to explain my decision. She arrived 20 minutes early and had already ordered my regular drink. She produced a folder containing images from the reunion, pointing out group photos of many people, including Tyler, in an attempt to illustrate that nothing untour occurred. However, those photographs only showed the arranged events, not the free time when Mark claimed they were alone together. She also received written emails from the reunion organizer addressing arrangements, but none of them indicated any restrictions for spouses. She questioned why I would abandon 7 years of marriage based on what Mark stated, alleging that he had always been envious of her friendships and even mentioning his behavior at our wedding. I mentioned that this was about more than simply Mark's account. It was about the lies she told to ensure that I wouldn't be present while her ex was. The fact that she had devised an elaborate deceit rather than simply being honest about the matter demonstrated a fundamental breach of trust. Helen admitted making a mistake in how she handled the incident, but she maintained to deny anything occurred to Tyler. She offered marriage counseling, noting that she had already made a preliminary visit for the following week. When I declined, she got obviously frustrated, reading through her folder of evidence to ensure that nothing untoward had happened. She urged me to speak with someone else from the reunion, mentioning two people I'd never met, who might allegedly provide a different account of events. The next day, I began searching for apartments. I located one near my work and signed a 6-month lease. I paid the security deposit and first month's rent with my personal account rather than our joint account. When I told Helen I was moving out, she called her parents. They came over that evening and tried to intercede with her father, emphasizing that every marriage has its ups and downs, and her mother crying and pleading with us to seek counseling before making any final decisions. Her father mentioned his own past sins, which her mother had forgiven, implying that the situation was comparable. The following weekend, I relocated the majority of my personal belongings to the little flat. Two buddies assisted me in transporting my possessions while Helen was at her parents' place. I left a letter indicating which furniture I had taken and which ones I would return. Later, Helen started telling our friends her version of events. Depicting Mar as a troublemaker in me is difficult. She claimed I misread innocent exchanges and overreacted without giving her the opportunity to explain. My sister filed the initial divorce papers, citing irreconcilable differences. Helen texted saying she was still hoping I would change my mind before things got too far when I did not react. She sent an email with links to marriage counselors in our area, claiming she had studied their qualifications and discovered one who specialized in trust restoration. I did not open the links. Does it ever get easier on Reddit? I'm really lost right now. Update 2. It has been a month since my last update. The divorce is proceeding forward. Helen first challenged it, stating that irreconcilable differences were not a viable basis in the circumstances. My sister indicated that this was only a delay tactic, as our state recognizes no-fault divorce. Regardless of the objection, Helen filed a lengthy response to the divorce petition requesting marriage counseling before continuing and claimed the marriage may be saved. Helen has alternated between contrite notes and hostile allegations. She came to my flat twice, once with flowers and once with divorce papers covered in handwritten comments disputing various terms. During her second visit, she refused to leave until I spoke with her, culminating in an awkward standoff in the hallway of my building. My neighbor eventually intervened and let me go back inside my building. Management has been instructed not to let her in again. Helen also approached my sister directly, attempting to get her to cease representing me. She sent emails to my sister alleging I was acting strangely and didn't really want the divorce. My sister forwarded them to me without comment. Helen then attempted to persuade our common acquaintances that I should rethink. Two friends contacted me, evidently concerned about how quickly the marriage was collapsing. After only hearing Helen's version of events, I ran across Jamie, one of Tyler's pals who also knew my wife. At the grocery store last week, we met at our wedding, and he recognized me during our talk. I brought up the incident with Helen and Tyler. At the reunion, Jimmy appeared perplexed and explained that Tyler had told him Helen had been all over him the entire weekend. According to Jimmy, Tyler stated that Helen claimed our marriage was in trouble and was likely to end in divorce. Jimmy then said that Tyler confirmed they had hooked up. On the final night of the reunion, when I inquired for clarity, Jimmy confirmed that Tyler clearly mentioned that they had slept together. He apologized for telling me this information, but he felt I deserved to know the truth. Jimmy said that Tyler had expressed ambivalence about the situation because he knew me from the wedding, but Helen had insisted in assuring him that our marriage was virtually ended. According to Jimmy, Tyler had given him text messages from Helen, sent during the reunion, that were clearly amorous in nature. I thanked Jimmy for the information and stopped shopping. After returning to my car, I called my sister to tell her what I had learned. She encouraged me not to approach Helen with this information just yet, since it could be valuable during divorce procedures. She mentioned that if Helen was disputing the divorce, evidence of adultery could affect our strategy, and she suggested letting her handle that element. She suggested that I forward any messages or emails from Helen to her before answering, so that I don't say anything that could exacerbate the situation. Helen arrived at my apartment unannounced that evening. Having been EL'd by a neighbor, she brought me dinner from my favorite restaurant and offered to talk for nearly an hour. She reiterated her previous explanations. She was simply helping a friend. Nothing occurred. Mark misunderstood she loved me and she would never cheat. She indicated starting therapy to figure out why she had handled things so poorly and proposed couples counseling again. She brought up our intentions for children and how we had always discussed growing old together. I remained mute throughout her tiate, reflecting on what Jimmy had said to me that day when she was finished. I, being the naive I am, went against my sister's advice and informed her about my incident with Jamie and Tyler's allegation of hooking up at the reunion. She grew clearly enraged, insisting Jaime was lying and Tyler wouldn't say it. She speculated that Tyler may have told Jaime to lie because he was furious that she had stopped communicating to him shortly after the reunion. Realizing their friendship was not worth damaging her marriage, she questioned why I would believe a virtual stranger over her, accusing me of hunting for reasons to break our marriage. When I inquired if she acknowledged continuing to communicate with Tyler after the reunion, she grew defensive. She packed her belongings and immediately went slamming the door behind her. The following day, she sent a lengthy email claiming to have contacted Tyler, who denied telling Jimmy anything about hooking up. She claims it was all a mistake or planned sabotage. A week later, Tyler called me. He explained that Helen had called him constantly, sometimes from multiple lines after he blocked her, accusing him of spreading rumors. He claimed he only wanted the drama to cease. Tyler acknowledged exaggerating when telling Jaime that he and Helen had slept together. He said that he and Helen spent a lot of time together at the reunion, but they merely kissed and did not sleep together. He claimed the kiss occurred on the final night after they had both consumed alcohol. At the farewell supper, Ty went on to say that Helen had informed him that our marriage was experiencing troubles, that we hadn't been connecting lately, and that she wasn't sure what she wanted. He claimed she had instigated the majority of their interactions at the reunion, seeking him out during activities and asking they meet up alone. Tyler seemed astonished when I told him we were planning to have a baby the next year and we not having any troubles. He apologized for his role in the incident, stating he should have kept his distance knowing she was married. Following the call, I passed Tyler's contact information to my sister, who urged me not to address Helen directly about the contradictions. She urged that the legal procedure continue without further emotional clashes. I did not reply to Helen's email justifying herself. 2 days later, she suddenly agreed to the divorce terms provided by my counsel, including the asset division we had agreed upon. The rapidity with which she accepted the divorce after weeks of battling made me wonder what had changed. My sister speculated that Helen might have understood Tyler had spoken to me and decided to cut her losses rather than having more details revealed during contested processes. It has been a month since my last update. The house has been advertised for sale, and we have already received 2 bids above the asking amount. We've agreed to divide the proceeds evenly once the mortgage is paid off. Helen returned to the flat, this time with her mother. They brought boxes to collect some home goods that we agreed she could take while Helen was gathering her belongings. Her mother attempted to engage me in conversation about marriage troubles and second chances. She told a story of nearly parting up with her husband short after Helen was born, owing to his lengthy work hours and her suspicions of an affair which proved to be false. She underlined how delighted she was that they had worked through their issues rather than separating. I helped them carry boxes to their car, but avoided engaging in conversation beyond basic civility. As they were about to leave, Helen requested to meet with me alone while her mother waited in the car. Her mother appeared hesitant to leave us, glancing back numerous times as she moved towards the car. Helen's demeanor altered when she was alone. She seemed more gloomy than in past conversations. She indicated that she needed to clear her conscience and admitted to lying about why I couldn't attend the reunion. As well as spending significant time with Tyler there, however, she stated that they never slept together and only kissed once after the farewell supper when they were both drunk. She stated she stopped it from continuing and immediately regretted the kiss. She couldn't understand why Tyler would tell Jamie they had hooked up, implying that, in his opinion, a kiss constituted hooking up, or that he was embellishing to save face. She also admitted to deleting text messages between her and Tyler before the reunion, confessing that their chats occasionally devolved into reminiscing about their previous relationship, which she knew would upset me if I saw them. She said that what happened in the cabin was completely harmless. They had gone to grab something from his car, but ended up talking for far longer than expected about his recent divorce and feelings of failure. When I inquired why she was telling me this now, Helen replied that because the divorce was inevitable, she wanted me to know the truth. She admitted to making a succession of stupid decisions and dealing with the repercussions, but she denied being disloyal to that extent. She also denied having misgivings about our marriage before the reunion, contradicting Tyler's statement, and stated that he may have misconstrued what she said about being worried about having children. She handed me an envelope containing concert tickets to a band that we both admired. She said that she had bought them before the reunion as a surprise for our forthcoming anniversary. She didn't expect me to use them with her, but she assumed I would want them. Anyhow, I accepted the envelope without commenting. After she went, Tyler texted me that Helen had asked him to message me. He clarified that they did not sleep together during the reunion, but instead kissed. He revealed to Jamie that something happened while he was inebriated, but argued that it was an exaggeration. He apologized for his involvement in the incident and vowed not to contact either of us again. Their stories now matched, giving me pause. However, I then remembered all of the past lies. Even if they simply kissed, Helen had concocted a tale to spend time with an ex-boyfriend, then lied again when questioned whether they had sex or just kissed. The underlying breach of trust remained the same. The fact that both of their stories had shifted over time made me question the most recent version as well. The next day, Mark provided me with screenshots of a furious argument between him and Helen, in which she accused him of wrecking her marriage by messaging me. In her conversations, she referred to him as a backstabbing friend and accused him of misinterpreting harmless encounters. Mark confirmed all he told me and added that numerous others at the reunion had witnessed Helen and Tyler's behavior, but were hesitant to intervene. He recounted particular incidents that I had not heard about before, such as Helen and Tyler missing from an evening bonfire for more than an hour. Helen stated in her letters to Mark that she and Tyler talked about their previous relationship during the reunion and reminisced about old times. She accused Mark of making assumptions about their cabin time, but she didn't deny they'd been alone together for longer than she had previously reported. She also mentioned inside jokes and light flirting, which viewers should not have taken seriously. For me, each new piece of knowledge simply reinforced my decision. Even Jaime's late statement about the kiss appeared to be a howl truth, intended to explain away her disclosure while downplaying her conduct. The pattern of dishonesty, followed by scant admissions when presented with facts, had eroded any basis for confidence. I focused on starting my new life. I bought furnishings for my apartment rather than using the temporary things. I had moved from our home. My sister referred me to her husband's friend who needed help rebuilding his basement, which has given me something to work on in the even evenings and weekends. Helen has ceased reaching out as frequently. According to common acquaintances, she has been telling people that she made a mistake, but that my refusal to forgive was the true reason our marriage terminated. Some believe her, but others don't. I've quit attempting to amend the record or justify my judgment. Those who know me understand, while those who don't are irrelevant to my future. The divorce will be finalized in the next few months. Ideally, as soon as feasible, I'll provide an update, then final update. The divorce was completed last week. I expected to receive the final papers without any drama, but that was not the case. Helen emailed me 2 days before our divorce became legal. The subject line was the whole truth. I almost deleted it before reading it, but curiosity got the best of me. Helen ultimately acknowledged in the email that she and Tyler had slept together twice during their reunion. She claimed she fought the divorce so hard at first because she couldn't bear accepting the whole truth even to herself. Tyler contacted her a month before the reunion, according to her email, and they had been communicating on a regular basis since then. When she discovered he was there, she purposefully made up the tale about couples not being welcome. She revealed information I had not previously known. Their first night together had been arranged ahead of time, rather than being a spontaneous decision affected by alcohol. As she had previously stated, she had planned to meet him in his cabin after the welcome supper, telling others she needed to make a business call. Their second encounter came after the goodbye meal when most people were preoccupied with group activities. She apologized for everything, especially for trying to make me appear irrational to our friends for seeking a divorce. She admitted to manipulating the issue by only acknowledging parts of the truth when presented with evidence. She concluded by claiming she was not asking for forgiveness but rather to cease living with the lies. I sent the email to my sister without comment. She called me right away to see if I was okay. I confirmed I was fine, as I had suspected all along. When she asked if I wanted to utilize this admission in the divorce process, I rejected, indicating that the terms were fair as they were and that all I wanted was to get it done. The documentation was filed in my records, but I saw no point in using it to punish Helen further. I did not reply to Helen's email. There was nothing more to say. Helen's sister called me the day after her divorce was finalized. We'd always gotten along nicely at family gatherings. She had learned of Helen's confession email and wanted to apologize for how her family had treated me during the process. She stated that Helen had finally told their parents everything, and they were embarrassed by how they had pushed me to reconcile. I informed her that it was not their fault. They were merely supporting their daughter, as was expected. She emphasized that they didn't blame me for the outcome, with her father feeling particularly guilty about what he said to me during his intervention attempt. 2 days later, I received another email from Helen requesting that we meet one final time to return some of my personal items she discovered while packing up the house which we had agreed to sell as part of our divorce settlement. I agreed to meet. Helen arrived 10 minutes late and handed me a tiny box containing my grandfather's antique watch and some images from my childhood mixed with hers. The watch had been missing for months, and I accused Helen of misplacing it while cleaning. She claimed she had found it a long time ago, but had hidden it after an argument and forgotten about it until packing. After an awkward pause, she thanked me for not using her confession email against her legally. I just stated that it would not have benefited either of us. Her looks had changed. She had cut her hair short and was thinner than when I last saw her. She indicated that she will continue with therapy in order to better comprehend her behavior. We finished our coffees in silence. As we were about to leave, she asked if I would consider remaining in touch on occasion as friends. I politely rejected, explaining that I believed a clean split would be healthy for both of us. She nodded and didn't press any further. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.